The whole process now that used to take me 3 hours might take me 30 minutes at most. Well,
Saving so
guess what? I've got 2.5 hours now to go to the spa.
Welcome back to the Listening Bea. Today's guest is Cathy Christen. She's a best-selling author, a coach, a speaker. She's an amazing person overall. And in this podcast episode, we talk about how she uses AI to save her so much time, especially with a few newborns, and how we can use AI to give us more time to create the life that we love and put systems in place so that we can actually achieve our goals. So I hope you enjoy, and let's dive right in. Miss Cathy, thank you so much for being in the Listening Bea today.
Yes, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
So you are a women empowerment coach, and you've done so much work in that area, and you've written a best-selling book and everything. So I really want to explore how you see AI shaping the world and your world specifically. So with your mission of helping women live more soulfully, intentionally, how do you see AI being the most, how do you see it derailing that mission? And what are you excited to see how it helps you in that mission?
It's so funny. We actually just started a micro group within GoBundance for AI. It launched on Tuesday, like literally 3 days ago.
Cool.
And
Okay.
we had a master class yesterday about this because it's an area where we want to see more women lean in. We've seen a lot of times throughout history, we've seen women be a little bit slower to jump into something, because women usually have to have more of the facts. Like I need to understand 80 or 90% before I move forward on something, whether it's investments, business opportunities, different things, AI. And it's you know what? And even the successful women are I know what I know. I'm going to stick to that and roll. And so in the being able to kind of move with the times, for whatever reason, we've just seen our male counterparts move quicker with a lot of things, and a lot of jobs that women hold. The statistics show that it's going to replace a lot of female jobs and make it more obsolete. And we're not on our watch. And so making sure, we're really helping, because it's not AI is something that we have seen is not something that's going to replace. It will replace if you don't understand it and don't know how to use it, right? It will replace you. But it can empower you and be your best asset and best business partner if you partner with it. You're this is my executive assistant, right? And I can now multiply myself. And there's so many incredible things that we can do there to get that done. And the beauty of it is that we can scale. We can do so much more in such less time. Right. And for many women, there's always been this overachiever, especially successful women, keeping up. Because let's face it, women didn't have as many opportunities as men did. 50 years ago, we didn't even have bank accounts until the 70s. Women didn't have bank accounts. Right. And so it's so crazy to think, because it was so recent, but there weren't as many opportunities. And so for women, especially older, successful women, people that I look up to and mentors, it's when they were in their 20s and 30s, they had to hustle, work harder than everybody. And that was the mentality of hustle and grind. And we are now in a beautiful place where we can really shift that. And I think about, even for me, always having to feel I had everything together, always having to go, I was the one that could handle it all, give it to me, let's go, I didn't need help. I was praised for my strength, for my resilience, but deep down, I just wanted to slow down. I just wanted to be and just soften up. And and I feel AI allows us to get so much more done and create more space for us to be. It's I have to create these reports. I have to do this. I have to do that. There's so much I can do with my assistant or my chat, my personal, my custom GPT. I created a GPT that helps me with a business that I've had for 23 years. That I help students and have a sales program and entrepreneurship training. And I used to teach them about how to build rapport, how to share who they are, what they do. And I would sit for 1 hour consultations to start the process. And it would usually take probably 3 meetings to nail it in. And I'd ask them questions about them and this and help them craft things, and we'd fix it and go through. I have taken all of the recordings that I could find from the last 2 decades, voice notes that were in my phone from showing people examples of how I would do it if I was them, workshops that I've ran, whatever. And I trained a GPT just on all of my knowledge. And now I have people answer 5 to 7 questions in a document, give it to me, pop it in, and it's incredible, like incredible right off the bat. And then we can just build off that. And it'll take me about 15 minutes to adjust that. And the whole process now that used to take me 3 hours might take me 30 minutes at most.
Wow.
Well,
Saving so much.
I've got 2.5 hours now to go to the spa or to,
I love it.
or do something, right?
Wow.
But it's huge, and I think that the conditioning we had before, I mean, for myself, I felt like there was this story that worth was earned through achievement. And it was like, I had to keep pushing and pushing. And if I didn't, things would fall apart. And I just burned myself to the ground. And like, I've just been blown away. Like even I started learning about AI a little bit slowly 2 years ago. I was like, oh, I can use it for this. I can use it for that. And just really leaned in more this year of like, all right, I want to learn that. When I was on maternity leave last fall, that was my focus. I was like, I want to learn about AI and really how to utilize this as a partner. And how do we use this to elevate ourselves? Where now I'm putting together a curriculum for a lot of the young students that I mentor, as well as women that I get to work with, and showing them like how we can utilize this to buy back more of our time, to be able to have open space for the things that matter to us. Because I mean, that's what we're hustling for, right? It's for whatever that dream life is. But sometimes we start hustling so hard and get caught up, we forget what the heck that dream life was or like why we started in the first place. And I feel like there's so much, beauty. It's scary. I've heard some of the women I've worked with, they're like, it just scares the shit out of me. Like, excuse my language, but they're like, it just scares me. Robots, this, the information, all, and there are aspects that are like, yeah, here's how we can protect ourselves. If you have, data that's, yours and just property, intellectual property that you want to protect, how to do that. There's ways even in AI and ChatGPT where you can change settings so it's not improving it for everyone else, so everyone's not getting your stuff. And so learning about those things to protect things that are ours, and knowing, well, probably don't put your book manuscript and have it public there, because yes, people are gonna, they can somehow now chat knows that information, and all of a sudden people are quoting stuff like might have come from your book, but it's like yours. But so there's ways to look at that. But when we look at the flip side and see the upside, like this is something that has been a disruptor. And some people have said it's a fad, it's going to go away. There's no way. It's kind of like the internet when it came out 20 something years ago. People were like, I don't know about this thing. Like, no, it's not going away. And it's only going to get bigger, better, stronger. So it's, learn to adapt and move with it, or you will get left behind. Because there will be people that aren't going to be able to either work as much as you and get so much more done utilizing AI. And so they're way more productive, or for me, it's about using those systems so that I can have more free space to be able to hang with the kids, to be able to do things that like really fill me and move me. Right.
Yeah. I love it. I think it's so important to be able to like grab it and use it to free up your time to create your dream life or spend time with your kids, like you said. So for the women and for the people that are not like adapting to it and are kind of like wary or scared and feel left behind in the AI like landscape, what are some examples or like tools or prompts or something that you think that would really help them adopt it and see like how it can save them time like right now?
Yeah. So start talking with it. Start using, I'd say the number one is start. Some people are still like, I don't know. They're like AI curious, but still outside on the fence. I don't know that I want to like learn something new or go in. I'm like, just start talking to it. And what I learned was talk to it like if it's a real person. Like I'm like, hey, I'm going through this. And like the more detail you tell it, like if I just randomly saw a friend on the street and I was like, tell me how to improve this. They're like, okay, well, tell me more, right? Like I need to understand. And like, you'll go into depth about what's happening, what's going on. And so they could give you proper advice. Well, that's exactly what you need to do. Just because it's like a computer, you're asking an open-ended question. Like people need to ask better questions, but even more so, the more context you're able to give and talk to it. Like it's like a therapist or a best friend, or again, your business partner. You're like, here's what's been going on. We've been working on this and and like tell it what's happening so that it has context. And then say, I'd love for you to act like a professional blank, a professional copywriter, a professional strategist, a professional this, and help me put together an ideal, organizational structure, for my business. My goals are XYZ. Here's what I want to be involved with. What types of people do you think I like? Something simple like that. Like you'll get so much, right? And so whether it's like people just use it for like writing emails or I don't know, like just very simple things, but these are strategists that can be there. And whether it's a marketing strategist, a social media strategist, an expert in this, an expert in that, a legal strategist. I mean, I was like, hey, I need you to act like an expert in, whatever legal contracts. Please review this and tell me anything you see that has a red flag or whatever. And it was like, boom, boom, boom. Like, talk about this. And I might have missed that. And so even now, anytime I have contracts, for business or things happening or contracts for real estate, I'm going to pop it through and say, hey, can you check this and see if there's anything that I need a question or, just to make sure I don't miss. Obviously, I'm reading my own contract, but, I've got 3 little kids and like my eyes are crossed or I'm tired, I didn't sleep well. And I'm like scanning and my brain didn't process it fully. I might have missed something that was really important and AI is not going to miss it. And so if you have, if you tell it what to do, and the bigger thing is you can actually take some of these, things that you've learned, I'm assuming that many people listening here are growth oriented. And so whether you've been to conferences, you've been to events, whether it's specific to your work or it's just personal development, or you take a class, like, do you have notes? Are you transcribing? There are so many tools now to transcribe and have auto transcribe and grab that information and start grabbing the information that you're learning from experts. And now you can create your own GPT around that topic and be like, like this is my professional marketing, whatever. And I'm feeding it stuff from different things I've heard, I've seen from pros who are crushing it and whose philosophies I like and how they do things I like. And I see the results they're getting. And I'm going to pull that information and I'm going to train a GPT on the things that I love. So when then I ask it for things, it's going to do it in that style.
That's beautiful. I think so many women and people need to adopt that and realize like there are so many unlimited possibilities with AI right now. Like transcribing that, you can make it into a course or like a mini book, and then you can like do so many things with that. And you talked about, like we're busy, we're overwhelmed, you can get burnt out easily. How do you use AI in like a way that's aligned with your values? Because I know a lot of women are iffy, and like you said, like there's that privacy thing, and what if it says something that I disagree with? Like, how do you use AI so it's aligned with your values and how you see like your life going and your like?
Tell it about you. Tell it about you. Say, hey, I want to start working closer together, and I want you to get to know more of me, what I value, who I am, whatever. Like, just say, be like, ask me questions that you need to get to know me more and to be able to understand, my vision and my language and my priorities, so that we're aligned when we're working. You can literally tell it that. And then it'll ask you questions. And now you answer them and you're like, oh, here's about me, and like that's something that'll help, especially with language. Like one of my great friends, Dr. Rachel, like she doesn't cuss. She does this. She knows, ChatGPT knows, but like, don't ever put anything with like, that's vulgar or with cuss words or anything, when I'm replying to things, like that's very important to her. And so and the more you use it and the more you talk to it and the more you reply back and forth, or, hey, I'm thinking about this, or I heard this or whatever, the more it just gets to know you, and the better outputs you're going to have, the more it's used. And so if you've only used it 2 or 3 times, don't expect the most incredible outputs, although you'll be blown away by some of the stuff that you receive if you ask it the right questions. Keep using it, because the more it knows you, the longer it's used, the more data it has stored within your profile about you, which again, you can press a button so it's your stuff isn't going out to everybody else. Like it's going to be able to support you at a much higher level. And so as far as with time and what were you saying there? I apologize. Can you repeat the question that you had?
Yeah, how can like be aligned with our values? Like you said, like we're personalizing it so it knows our values and it acts in ways like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. No, I love it. And when it comes to the gap between AI and the women who are using it, who aren't using it, people who are leaving it behind, how do you think it will, how will the gap widen for underrepresented groups?
I mean, I feel like this is a place for underrepresented groups to be able to catch up or surpass, I feel like it creates a more even playing field, if you actually master and how to do it, just like blockchain and crypto has created a more even playing field for wealth building for minorities and others, right? And so I think it's very similar, where we're creating these new technologies and innovations that are coming out are actually making the gap a lot less and really making that playing field. And it's really up to whatever human decides to go educate themselves on something and really go out and pursue that. It doesn't matter what color, what race, what age, what anything. It's just a decision to say, I'm going to learn this and I'm going to like go full throttle with it. And you can create some really magical things.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love it. And what do you see are the biggest like drawbacks or things that we should be wary of? Because we've talked a lot about the positive parts of it, and there's so many amazing parts to AI, but just like with everything, with social media, technology.
When it's not personalized, I mean, you're not going to get as much traction and people interacting when they all know now, oh, that ChatGPT probably made that. Oh, and I'm a culprit of that sometimes where I didn't have time to think. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and usually if I look at it and I'm like, this looks like AI did it, I'll be like, can you please make this more casual and sound like me? And they're like, I'm like, thank you, and I'll post something.
Yeah.
So I think that's, not when we are not reviewing the outputs, when it comes to anything that you might be posting on social media or even an email, make sure to review things and adjust and say, this sounds too professional, or I don't use these words, like this jargon is not, work for me. Can you please take this word out and replace it with something like blank? And so you have to actually edit and go through so that it really learns you. But regardless, at any time, always make sure you just take a look at it, And so I think that people thinking, oh, it did it, so it's perfect. Like it might not be aligned with who you are and how you want to sound or what you, wanted to say exactly. So make sure that, excuse me, still reviewing whatever is coming out because that can be an issue. And so people feeling like it's not authentic because it's just a robot doing that. So they're not getting to know you. That's a drawback for sure. And I think that, again, that's easily handled with going live more, making sure that, you feed your AI videos of you or audios of you so that it can get to know, or your GPT, your voice, and how you speak and your tone. And so it really understands that. Those are all things that you can train it on. And so if you don't train it, it's just very general and it's like, all right, it sounds like everybody else. But all of a sudden, if you really take time to train a GPT with your information, then it's your output, because it knows your voice. So it's going to sound very different than if you're just doing it in a general like ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's interesting because I've definitely seen that too. If I'm sending an email or receiving an email, I can tell, if it's AI generated and, you feel a little bit different. You're like, I don't feel like I value this as much, but it saves us so much time. But you've seen that too, it sounds like.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. And I love how you said that, with our prompts, it's garbage in, garbage out. So if you put in like high quality prompt and you give it an example, like this is what my normal emails sound like, then it'll like generate something that's more like that and better. Yeah. I love it. And how do you see AI impacting women empowerment personally? Because you talked a little bit about like how it can be a therapist sometimes. Do you have any examples of when you used it, or how do you see it helping people?
I mean, there's a lot. Are we talking personally? I mean, there's so many different ways that you can utilize it. I mean, I helped a friend of mine get a job a couple of weeks ago. She was so nervous for her interview, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I just really want to nail it." And I said, "Have you what?" She's like, "I'm going to be prepping all day tomorrow and tonight for it." And I said, "Do you have 15 minutes?" And she's like, "What?" I'm like, "Do you have 15 minutes right now?" I said, "Can I help you?" She was like, "Sure." And I went into my GPT and then I know how to create a prompt where I was just like, hey, act as a professional, interview prep, whatever strategist. And I said, I have a friend who's about to go into an interview in the city of Galveston, And I said, here's her resume. Here's where she's applying to. What are things that she needs to know to stand out? What are things that she should talk about? What are things you're going to ask? I'm like, anything you can do to create a great interview prep. Boom. 1 minute. It comes out and she's reading it going, oh my gosh. And I was like, can you, and it highlighted her strengths. It highlights what she brings. And I said, with current projects that are happening in the, because then it said, these are some of the questions to expect. Right. And so it was like, expect to ask about, what the city of Galveston, the current initiatives and what we're doing with this, what we're doing with that. And so I just copied that. And I said, tell me more about these initiatives and what are the types of questions she should ask or information she should share to these specific. And then it went through like the data of like, here's what's happening. Here's where they're spending money. Here's stuff with the water. They're building, and it just told everything. And so all of a sudden she has like all this information, and she had planned on spending an entire day and a half studying and learning. And it literally took me 5 minutes. And I said, here you go. And she was like, are you shitting me right now? Like, were her exact words. And I was like,
Yeah.
I said, and she goes, how did you just do that? I was like, it's Chatty. It's my friend Chatty. I said, this past fall, it was something I really focused on because I knew if I didn't learn this, I was going to be left behind, or I was going to keep grinding. And that's the worst feeling, like I don't think anybody said, let me open a business so that I could work 24/7 forever. Like nobody said that ever. Right. And I think being younger, there was always that like self-worth was earned through achievement, right? And if I stopped pushing, everything would fall apart. And, I was talking about that before, but oh my gosh, like I had this false identity around being the one who always had to do everything, always showed up. And that's not success. It's like sacrifice. And sometimes we're sacrificing ourselves to the max, right? And I think that there was a certain point where I used to build systems to scale my business, which I still utilize in some capacity. But now I feel like I build systems to protect my peace, And so I love AI because there's so much that can help get things done quicker, figure things out. We're going on a family vacation. Hey, we're heading to Europe or we're going to Portugal for 5 days. We've got 3 kids under 5. Like, Portugal, us. I'm like, what are suggested places to go? How long should we spend there to get the most out of our time there? Like, help me map something out. I don't want to go. I want to relax. I want to see some of the sites. I want to enjoy my kids. I want to enjoy good food. What do you recommend? And can you help me create an itinerary for the 4 or 5 days that is going to include R&R, quality time with the kids, and doing some sightseeing? Boom. Here's what you should do, right? So like you're cooking. I'm like, I want to create this, or you can do anything and everything, like any kind of a coach, assistant, trainer, like you've got right here. And I'm sorry to all the experts that charge a lot of money to look at contracts and stuff. Like, I'm just not going to do that. I know that I can do that here. And like, depending on what it is, if I've got a multi-million dollar project, I might want to get a couple eyes on it. Right. But just in general, there's so many basic things that we can utilize for ourselves, for our lives, like just to bring more peace, to bring more joy in our world. If you're like, I'm going to this area, or I've been living here for a while, and like, I really love to be outdoors, but I don't really know what's around here, or, and like, it'll tell you, like, it's amazing, or like, what are some groups that you recommend, maybe meetups that I could join to, help me socialize and get out of my shell. And so I can go on, but it's just like, it can be used so many ways to create so much happiness, joy, freedom, as well as, quality and quick work, and being able to get our thoughts out, going through, putting them onto paper. I was like trying to organize, and I catch myself still doing how I used to. And I'm like, oh, I got to organize this. And I was like, wait a second. I'm like, Chatty. And I'm like, no, I'm working on this. I'm working on that. I'm going to send you, what I did in the past. It's kind of weird bulleted, but just check it out. Let me know if you understand it. And I put it in, and I said, help me create just a quick call script based on what you saw that I did, on how you would call back past customers for this. I'm helping one of my kids with this, and then help me. And I was going to sit there and create them like I always do. This was 3 days ago, and I use this normally. And I was like, oh, I got to create a script you need a script. Okay, let me help you with that for one of my sales reps. And I just screenshotted some document I gave a talk on like 10 years ago, and put in something else and put an example. And I said, what would you do for this? And what it spit out, I was like, this is great. I edited like a couple things, and I was like, here you go. And instead of me sitting and using brain power, which by the way, with 2 under 2 and all that, can get real mushy. I was just like, as soon as I saw the output, it's really easy for me to fix. I was like, oh, I don't love that. I love that. Boom, done. But if I would have sat there going from scratch, I'm like, okay, all right, okay. Like, it would have taken me 30, 45 minutes to do that, probably at this point, where it took me 5.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know. I can tell so many freaking stories, but like, it's just,
that's amazing.
It's a game changer, so anything you're doing, like, you're able to do it faster, and And then now you can create so many documents, SOPs, step by step, that's going to also help you create frameworks for your team, right? And so that you don't have to constantly be micromanaging. They have exactly how you want it done, right? Make sure that if you ask, you can ask ChatGPT, you're like, I'm really bad at time management. These are all the things that I need to do in a week. Give me a couple different examples of what a schedule would look like that includes time to rest, time to work out, time to cook, time for this. I work from blank to blank. Show me what you would do. And like, it can tell you that, right? And you can say, hey, make sure to time block, like make sure to block time, not just for work, but also for rest and play and family or whatever's important to you, right? And I think that's really important too, because I don't know, I feel like women also take on so much more than they should. And it's almost like this guilt to say no. And it's like, no, you can say no to
That goes
protect.
back to self-worth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and AI has helped so much with all of that. And thank you for sharing all those examples, by the way. I think that's going to provide so much value for everyone, because it's like we're not wired to think that way. Like you said, you're still doing the old way of things, and it's like you can do it in 5 minutes now, and it's crazy. So that's amazing. And with how it came to self-worth and how, especially women, we are constantly like, we feel guilty if we say no. How do you see AI helping us deal with that?
I mean, the fact is you could use it as a thing, like, be like, I'm struggling with this, and you could say, act as a professional therapist. You could talk to it if you want with that. I mean, when it comes to like with guilt, well, let me ask this. Can you clarify specifically which way you're going? Because like my brain's going in like 5 different directions. So I'd love to.
Yeah, I mean, like, so I know someone who has trouble saying no to people, like if people want her attention or need her time and things like that, and she has trouble saying no and like making a boundary there. How do you
I
see
don't think
AI?
that has anything to do with AI, and AI is going to help you with that. That's just you making sure that you've got to do. I feel like that's more self-development and internal work,
Yeah,
right?
so
And so
AI can't help everything.
Right. And so, well, I mean, AI can give you a lot of tools to help with that and say, hey, I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that. It can recommend books for you, it can recommend courses. It might even have like, hey, here are keys to help, create better boundaries for yourself, and understand that these boundaries, are like, that is one of the best things you can say yes to are boundaries, because now that helps give your life back to you, and so you're not at the whim of everybody else. And so, yes, AI can give you examples, phrases, processes, ways of thinking, maybe help reframe how you think about it. It's like, here's what I showed. And it's like, hey, look, this is about you. This is about, and you're like, oh my gosh, you're so right. Right. Like, so it can still share so much. But at the end of the day, there's also self-work that we need to do and look inward. The only thing I found right now that AI can't do is physically cook the meal for me or like do my nails or my hair, but it can give me, some great tutorials. But it won't
No,
do
I
it.
love that. Yeah. So using AI as more of a guide or like, hey, give me some ideas on how I can set boundaries in this situation,
It's your
rather
partner,
than
it's your trainer, it's your this, it's your that, all the things, but then you have to take action.
Right. You're the one who has that responsibility to actually carry out what you learn from what you get. But it can help you. So it's like the guide on the journey, and then you get to the destination by making the actions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love it. Well, is there anything you want to share before I ask you our last guest's question?
I would just say that for anyone listening, I think that it's really important before you dig into AI, this, that, like, is to really get clear on what you want in life. What do you want life to look like? What do you want life to feel like? Because I think that we get caught up chasing things that look good, or we're handed, or we're told this is what you need to do to be successful. And I think that we really need to like sit with ourselves and go, what feels good to me? And that can look different in different seasons too. But it's like, for me, it's like, how can I be powerful and peaceful, right? Successful and soft. How can I build, but also be like, and that's my, like what I'm working through. Right. And just really being mindful of like, what do I want things to look like? What do I want it to feel like? What do I want that? And then being able to create a structure for yourself in your personal life or in your business, whatever it might be. And I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and have done business coaching for a very long time. So I'm like, before we talk about your business, I need to know what you want your life to look like. Like, how do you define success? Like, if I say, okay, you're so successful, what does that mean? What does that mean? Right.
What does that look like? Yeah.
Because success to you might look different than success to me than it does to her. Like, what does that mean? And for my girlfriend, success is that she doesn't do anything before 11 except meditate and do yoga and take care of herself. And she does work meetings from 11 to 3. And then she goes, and hangs out. And sometimes that work meeting is a brunch, with people or clients or with friends. And then, has the day free. And that's where she's gotten to. She's like, I want space and I want to be able to get my work done in a small window of time and to be able to say yes and no when I want. For some people, they're like, that'll give me anxiety. Like, I like to move and go. It's like, okay, great. But what is it that you feel like you've gotten there, you've achieved? Like, is there an end vision? Because if not, you're just on this hamster wheel. And so we want to get clear on that. So that way we can be intentional and create a structure for our lives, for our business, which AI can help with, that aligns with what we want. We get clear on what you want first, and not just externally, but also internally. And that's gonna help a lot, right? I think that too many people are exhausted trying to prove everything to everyone or be everything to everyone, and they're afraid to slow down because it means failure. And that's not the case. And so again, get clear with what you need and want, and then utilize AI to help you create the framework, the systems, the processes, the whatever it is you need to make that a reality.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That's so powerful. And it's like that's something AI can't help you with. You have to go inside and figure that out. But AI can help you carry it out and help it come to life. Yeah. I love it. Okay. So are you ready for our last question?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So this one's unrelated, obviously, because it's a legacy change, just for fun. So if you could sell tickets to watch one of your failures unfold in real time, which one would be the most entertaining for the audience?
Oh my gosh. So funny. You're like, oh, there's so many. I'm like, what would be the most fun to watch? I'm trying to think of watching it. I feel a little, let me think.
Take your time.
Fun to watch. Oh my gosh. Maybe when I had moved to open a new franchise into a new city, and it ended up being a success. But the first month was just an absolute blah. Everything went wrong. We had electricity. Well, the place that we found out later, they couldn't get they didn't have wiring for Wi-Fi, and it was going to take 3 weeks to do that. Then the phone lines were shut down for over 2 weeks, and we had paid $30,000 in advertisement, and we had there were no phones. We had to reroute the calls to our cell phones. The building where we were, and we couldn't get out of our lease, was towing every car that parked in the alley. And then they had they changed it and put reserved, even though when we got that space, we got it because there was plenty of parking that was not reserved, and they changed it because of us. And there were everything. I sat in my office and I started bawling my eyes out. I'm like, what is happening right now? I'm like, I just moved my life here to open this franchise, and it was just wild. And anyone it should be a movie, everything that happened during that time. And so I don't know that it would be, it's not funny to me. It might be funny to others, but it's entertaining. That's for dang sure.
Yeah.
And then we didn't realize how low below water we were. And it rained a ton in Miami, and there would be 6 to 8 inches. One time it was almost 10 inches of water of just flooding, anytime it rained. This wasn't a hurricane. This was just when it rained, because of how low the parking and how they had done it. And so people were walking into the office, literally would come in with they were walking through a flood. We had to start having people drive and pick them up. It was chaotic. It was nuts.
Wow.
So yeah, very.
Well, you got through that.
We did. And we built some really resilient people through that time. So that was really cool. And that was a really great reminder too of the power of team, because in a moment where I was like, what am I doing? Why did I, one of my guys looked at me and said, hey, the bigger the challenges, or the bigger the goals, the bigger the challenges, we've got this. Champions find a way, which was something I was constantly instilling in them. And they were shooting it back at me. And I was like, you're right. Let's go. So anyway, it was really cool to see what came from that. But in the moment, did not feel so exciting.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for sharing that whole story. And I'm glad that, the challenges and the goals, but you've accomplished the goals and you're creating still. So
Yeah.
that's beautiful. And thank you so much for all the things that you've shared today. I know you usually don't talk about AI, but like
Yeah.
you were able to combine it so well with women empowerment and how we can use it to create a life that we love. So thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for having me.